So in episode 3, one of my favorite episodes actually, because it's one of the first episodes where we actually have all 5 main characters in an episode. We don't see this again until episode 8, I believe actually it is. And everyone really delivers in this episode. Everyone from the characters we already know, our heroes, Sean, Theresa, and James, to the new characters that we meet, the villains, which are Vivian and Adrian. And now that we've finally sort of introduced everyone in this episode, it's gonna be fun because this is really the conclusion of Act 1, and sort of the way I like to tell stories. I like to tell stories in 3 different parts, and so you have your beginning, your middle, and your end. And so season 1 of Superhuman is structured in that way. There's 9 episodes. You break it up into 3 different parts, so 3 episodes for Act 1, 3 episodes for Act 2 in your middle, and 3 episodes for Act 3 in your end. And so this episode of episode 3 is really the conclusion of Act 1. We finally introduced all of our characters. We've established sort of who they are and a little bit about who they are, and we kind of have a small feel for these characters. And now in Act 2, starting with episode 4, we can really start to test some of these relationships that these characters are going to face and really start to have a lot more fun with these characters as season 1 goes on
now. Please, I want to see my family again.
So episode 3 opens on Amy Knutson. She was a girl who had been kidnapped at the beginning of episode 1. This scene does a lot to establish the major conflict of the season.
This was also the time to really bring in our badass character, Vivian. We really wanted to make her presence known from the get-go.
And what do you think you're doing?
Nothing, ma'am. Just teaching her some respect.
Respect?
Her demeanor isn't something that you just kind of slide and take it. It's boom. You know exactly what she's about at the moment that she walks in.
This is for the past week?
Yes. Minus, of course, payroll for the guards.
You should know by now you're entitled to some of this.
And you should know by now that I don't care for it.
You get to know a little bit more about Vivian by this small interaction that they have of dealing money and stuff like that, where he basically says, you've been doing a lot of work, you can have a part of this. And she declines. I think that says something a lot about her character. She is not driven by money. She is driven by something much deeper. Same with Adrian, how we've just been introduced to him, where he's kind of the polar opposite. He is a businessman. He likes money, and that's kind of all we really know about him at this point.
Hey.
Hey. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to show.
I was kind of debating myself.
Sean is a very unique person, and he has very unique ideas about how to handle conflict. He avoids confrontation at all cost. He might be a little naive at times, but it's been a really fun challenge for us as writers to create a pacifist superhero. Theresa has spent a lot of her adult life and young adult life trying to avoid emotion. She often views emotion as weakness. And so to be given this power that's all about emotion is very overwhelming for her. She would rather just get lost in a textbook where there's words on a page and there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. And so I think Theresa really appreciates having Sean there where they can kind of experiment with this together. And they're both very scared of their power and very timid about it. And I think if there wasn't another person in a similar place, I don't know if either one of them would have done anything about this.
We can all be very proud of that. One of the concerns that investors had was that most of that growth came through the 2 acquisitions that we completed earlier this year. And, excuse me a moment. Hey, what's up?
This was one of the most fun experiences for us as writers. Steven wrote this scene. We all looked at many revisions of it, tweaked some things, and then we were there when we shot it. We saw this scene develop from so many different angles, and the fact that it still gave me chills when I saw the rough cut for the first time is one of the most rare and enjoyable feelings you can have as a writer, when you can see everything through the process and still get chills when you see even close to the final product.